and welcome back to the Untitled Mike Ashmore podcast, episode number 10. Double digits, we did it. Yes, I am Mike Ashmore. Yes, I have Carlos Guzman on as my 10th guest here in the UMAP. Known Guzzi for a long time, covered him in 2016 and 2017 with Somerset. And we're going to talk to him, find out about his career, how he latched on with the Mets to come out of community college, which is not an easy thing to do. Ask him about his time in the Mets organization, ask him about his time in the Atlantic League, ask him all sorts of things, and most importantly to him, about how his family's doing. Guzzi's always been a big family man, and that'll really shine through in this one for sure. So, without further ado, here it is, the Untitled Mike Ashmore podcast with Carlos Guzman. All right, guys, welcome back to the Untitled Mike Ashmore podcast. I have gone by many names professionally in my career. I've gone by Mike Ashmore, I've gone by MJ Ashmore, I've gone by Michael J. Ashmore, but this guy always called me Rojo, and that stuck for a while as well. Carlos Guzman, welcome to the Untitled Mike Ashmore podcast. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, bud. How you doing, man?
Doing good, doing good. It has been a little while since we've chatted, man. I guess what's been going on lately?
Nah, man, it's been just busy, man. Dad life, family, man. Family, man. That's what I am. That's it.
Yeah, hey, there's nothing wrong with that, man. There's a lot to be said for that. I guess, what are you doing to keep busy these days besides family stuff? I know you're still kind of doing some baseball stuff and some lessons. I guess, how's that all been going?
Yeah, I do my little lessons here, but, I have my regular job. I'm in the union now, so, just day at a time, man, enjoying it and, trying to survive through this quarantine.
Yeah. How's that been with the family and the little one and everything? How's that been? Just with really nowhere to go. What's that been like?
In all honesty, it's great. It's great, being with the kids and we're all together all the time. But it's hard too, man, because kids they have all that energy in them. You don't know what to do. So I just put a batting cage and we got like a play set in the backyard, trying to make come to accommodate them.
Yeah, you were always like really, really big on family when I covered you in Somerset. So I guess somewhat of a blessing in disguise to get to spend some more time that way.
It is. It definitely is, especially all those years of like being away, playing baseball and being a roadie, like they say, right?
Yep.
We you learn, man. At the end of the day, when you don't have nothing else, at least you got family.
Yeah. So let's start at the beginning, baseball-wise. And I guess for me, with what I could kind of find out on you, is born in Brooklyn, go to high school in Queens, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Born in Brooklyn, raised in Brooklyn, lived in Brooklyn, went to John Adams High School in Ozone Park, Queens, New York.
Yeah. So some of that can be a little bit rough for some people. I guess, what was your experience like kind of, growing up in that area?
I grew up in a rough area, East New York, Brooklyn, man. It was pretty tough, lost a lot of friends due to, gun violence, things like that when we were younger. But,
sure.
I thank God, too, that I had my parent, my family, my dad always kept me on a straight arrow. So I knew that, I knew what the goal was from the beginning, so.
Yeah. Was it strictly baseball for you back then, or were you in other sports?
No, I played football, basketball, and baseball.
Okay. So what made you kind of decide on baseball?
Baseball, I seen my dad play. So I wanted to be like my dad. So it was like, damn, baseball was it. I was pretty good at basketball too. I was a shooter and I could jump. So and then quarterback, I could throw football however I felt, far, hard, whatever. My thing was my grandmother was like, no, baseball is it for you. And I got respect for my grandmother, so that's where I went.
Yeah, always a good athlete. I will certainly give you that. So how does a kid from Brooklyn, goes to high school in Queens, how do you end up at Western Oklahoma State College? How does that happen?
So being from New York, Western had a lot of. If we had a roster of 21 kids, I'd say 15 of them were from the Northeast. The head coach was from Boston.
Okay.
And he had this thing where he liked our grit. That was just, he was saying. He said that the kids from up north were tough, and he would rather lose. This was his saying. He would rather lose with 15 to 20 tough kids than win with prima donnas. That was his saying, so I don't know.
Yeah. I guess, was it kind of a culture shock to be coming from that area and go out to basically the Midwest?
Yeah, it was, man. You go from trains and buildings and when I got off the plane and go to Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City's pretty city-like, but then you start getting to the little suburbish kind of farmland. And,
yeah.
man, it was nothing but grass and green. Behind my dorm was a cotton field.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I didn't know this, and we were talking about this kind of off camera / off pod. You pitched there too, right?
Yes, I did.
So how did that go for you?
It went well, actually. They were actually wanted to draft me as a pitcher before a position player, and I ended up straining my UCL. I had like a little I just strained it from throwing so much because I would close, I would play third, I would play right. So we were always throwing. So I had to shut it down. And then when I got to Brookdale, the next year, I actually DH for a while till my arm was ready.
Okay. So you go to Brookdale, I guess, is that just wanting to get back closer to home? I guess, what is that kind of process like of getting back to that kind of tri-state area?
Yeah, I went through a couple things when I was in Oklahoma. It wasn't baseball-wise. I played every day. That wasn't it. But so I said, you know what? If I'm going to have this experience again, I'd rather have it closer to home. I know a lot of people who were pretty good baseball players that, they had nothing but good things to say about Coach Johnson in Brookdale at the time. Mm-hmm. So I took the chance, and honestly, that was the best thing I did.
So you go to Brookdale, you play well there, hit 377, 8 homers, 30 RBI, play really well. It's not a school that gets a lot of attention, obviously, from a baseball standpoint. Was the draft on your mind at that point? Were you thinking maybe there was a chance someone would take a chance on you?
Honestly, it's funny because I thought the same thing. I said, you know what, I'm going to stay at Brookdale. I don't know what this is about, but they're actually very big in baseball and softball. So I was like, I figured, you know what? Go here, put some good numbers up, and get drafted. And for some reason, things didn't happen. The two big schools at that time in Jersey for junior college were Gloucester and Brookdale. And I mean, if you were to see those games where we played each other, there wasn't a seat left in the house. So I scouts all over the place, and I don't know. It just for some reason it didn't work. They didn't pick me.
So the story of kind of how you got signed by the Mets is pretty interesting as well. There's some sort of showcase workout late in 06, is that right?
Yeah, so in 06, it was so tricky because at Brookdale, I was actually verbal commit to Lynn University in Boca Raton.
Okay.
I verbally committed to them, and it just so happened I was just like that. I told my dad, I said, Dad, man, I just want to play pro boy baseball, man, and I got in touch with a guy from the Mets, and he said to meet him in the Bronx at a Crotona Park. This was so random. It was on Halloween, October 31st.
Jeez.
And it's a little chilly, and we had a showcase, and I just showed out, and he said, meet me at Shea Stadium. Me and my dad, we met him at Shea Stadium, and the rest is history.
So you end up signing with the Mets. Did you grow up a Mets fan, a Yankees fan, either?
No, I'm a Yankee fan, man.
Okay.
Forever. Yeah, forever.
You're certainly not going to turn down an opportunity with the Mets, though. So I guess finally getting that chance in pro ball, they send you to the Gulf Coast League in 07. I guess what is that first kind of taste of pro ball like for you?
It was a little different because at the same time, I was always how do I say it? Knowing that you have all the freedom, you're on your own like that. I mean, I've always had freedom, but
yeah,
it's just you have to be responsible for everything you do. Meaning you got to eat right on your own. You got to just a lot of different things. So I'm young, 20 years old when I signed, so kind of like finding my way. It was a good experience though. That was the kind of like it set me off to good things.
Yeah. First couple years played pretty well. 09 though is really kind of your breakout year in that system. I guess first off, kind of circling back a little bit, you were never really a guy that they had really a lot of money in or anything like that. Did you kind of feel a lot of pressure to perform? Because it felt like the leash was probably pretty short at that time, I would think.
If you want me to be honest, man, I didn't feel like I had pressure from the organization, but for some reason they expected a lot of things from me. I mean, I don't say for some reason because I had talent, but it was more so like, remember, a lot of people don't get to play with a team that they're from their hometown. You see what I'm saying? So like,
yeah.
when that happened, it was like me growing up, So two guys that were on my team growing up was Adam Ottavino and Dylan Betances.
Okay.
And Dylan was at the rival high school, and then we all played summer ball together. And at that time, Adam was in St. Louis, Dylan was with the Yankees, and I was with the Mets. So at that time, it's just like me and Dylan we got to like represent for where we're from, you know? And it was kind of like pressure in that way, but never pressure so far like to do well. It was always go out and do your thing. That's it.
Yeah. So, I mean, you did that in 09. I mean, that was arguably one of the best years of your career, I guess. So what is it kind of like when you're kind of really establishing yourself, kind of putting your name on the map as maybe a guy who could do some damage in that system?
Honestly, I felt like 09, in all reality, I couldn't do anything wrong. It was just like everything was just working, you know? Everything was just starting to happen. I was starting to, like, become that butterfly, you know? Like, it was just, everything was just great. And then I just opened the eyes, man, and they had it. I remember, I forget what it was. I had gone from, like, 300 to, like, 220 at that point, right? I was, like, on a little slide, and I remember I said to myself, like, you know what, man? Just go out and play. I remember that day I hit 2 homers, and then from there I just went right back up. It's just one of those things, man. Those years, like, you can't do nothing wrong, you know?
Yeah. All-Star game that year too. What was that experience like?
Oh man, that was awesome because it's funny because my manager at that year was Tim Tuffle.
Okay.
And I didn't make the All-Star team to begin with in the beginning. And you know, Tim, he called me into the office and he told me, he was just like, man, I don't want you to feel like that, man. You know, sucks that you didn't get it. So the next thing you know, something that nobody knows, Giancarlo Stanton, who at the time was Mike Stanton, got the starting spot. But he got called up to Double-A. So then they put me on the All-Star team because he went up.
Okay, that's not a bad guy to replace, you know.
No, it's not. But the funny thing was that, and listen, he's the man, right? He's a good dude too. So forget about that. But I had the numbers, you know, to be there that year for sure.
So to get to do that, I guess, what did that mean to you to get to actually participate? I think you did the home run derby too, right?
Yeah, I was in the home run derby. I actually lost to my own teammate Kirk Neuenhuis in the quarterfinals.
Oh wow!
They put us in the same bracket. Yeah. It was awesome, man, because it was Father's Day, and if anybody knows me, they know that my dad is my best friend and he's my idol. So they know that for him to be there in Florida, he doesn't like to fly neither. So for him to fly to Tampa. And, you know, to be there, that was special, man, on Father's Day. And to show out like that, it was awesome experience, man. It was awesome.
Yeah. So 09, you end 09 in lovely, scenic Binghamton. You go back there to 2010. I guess, did you get hurt in 2010? I guess, what kind of happened that kind of sparked? Yeah.
So I got hurt, like, the third game of the season. Okay. I tore my meniscus and partial ACL.
Ooh.
And we were playing the Blue Jays, and it was a regular pop-up. And it was like one of those little wet days.
Are you in New Hampshire or Bingo?
New Hampshire.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I just snapped it, and I sat out for 3 weeks. I rehabbed it, came back, and I couldn't. I was switch hitting. Remember, I was switch hitting the whole time. I was hitting right-handed as well, and I couldn't get my right. You know, my knee wasn't feeling good, and I remember I forgot who the lefty was, but. He hit me right in my knee. If I'm not mistaken, it was Chim-Ming Wang, if I'm not mistaken. And he hit me right in my knee, and the rest is history. I had surgery 3 weeks later.
Was that kind of, at least statistically, things didn't really go the way you wanted it the rest of the time in the Mets system? Was that kind of, in retrospect, the beginning of the end for your time with the Mets?
I mean, yeah, and I just didn't feel good. I wasn't at 100%. I couldn't be me, and on top of that, the GM change, and you know, I was an Omar Minaya guy. Minaya, when I came back from my surgery, Alderson came in. There was just a lot of different moving parts. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. There was so many different moving parts that it was just bad timing. So you know, that's all it was. Yeah.
So get released early June.
Yeah.
Did you see that coming? I guess what is that process? What is that moment like when they tell you?
I honestly didn't see it coming because I figured they would at least give me a chance to prove that, you know, that I can be what I was before. I just needed time to get back to normal, you know, from knee surgery.
Yeah.
because I didn't have a regular knee surgery where you get scoped. I was out 11 months. So, and it was very surprising how we were playing we were playing against the Akron Arrows. And I woke up, and the funny thing is, the day before, I just went like 3 for 4, so I'm starting to be like, damn, maybe I'm coming back.
Yeah.
And I get a phone call, and I'm thinking, it's me and Robert Carson. If you know Robert Carson, he was with York Revolution. He was my roommate.
Yep.
And I get the phone call. He's like, Skip says, and Backman. Skip is like, hey, come to my room. So we go to my room, and Rob is like, yo, you getting traded, bro? You about to get? I'm like, yeah. I go up, and he's like, and he's like, hey, man, we're gonna have to release you. And I was just like, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah, that's not ideal, but it kind of led to some fun things that you got to do kind of going forward. I guess you went to Mexico pretty much about a week later. Is that right?
Yeah, and I did really well there too, man.
Yes, you did.
I played well there, and it's funny because this game, this is I try to tell the young guys, just give it what you got and be happy with what you do, especially if you do well and nothing. I did well there and got released.
Yeah,
from there,
311 in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I got released from there. So, then my head's spinning, and I'm just like, man, I don't even know what else to do.
Yeah, that's crazy. So I guess at what point do you start thinking about the independent baseball route after that?
So I was getting calls from the Jackals because they were in the Can-Am League that year when I came back from Mexico.
Right.
And I was just so mentally worn out that I was just like, man, honestly, thank you guys, but maybe we could talk about that during the winter. I just, I was worn out mentally just from so many different places, and I just kind of like left that alone. But the Jackals were on my radar for the following season.
Yeah, which you ended up going to the Jackals in 2012, but first ended up going to York and then the Road Warriors too, which we'll get into that as an entirely separate crazy stint there. But I guess what was kind of your first impression of the Atlantic League? What was it like?
Man, I mean, it was great. Just the way the whole organization is ran, like it's a professional baseball. It's basically just AAA caliber. You got a lot of ex-big leaguers and guys who are still good enough to play in the big leagues. You got great managers, nice stadiums. It's honestly, the guys who are there right now, they need to understand that they're very lucky to be there because a lot of people want to be where they are.
Yeah. So how does it end up that you go from York to the Road Warriors? 'Cause I have the utmost respect for those Road Warriors guys because that is such a god-awful, crappy situation to be in, and I'm sure you can speak on that as well. But how does that happen, and what is that little stretch like?
So, I mean, it's crazy because you're always on the road, and I did it for a little bit, but then I was with York, and then a player came from Italy. They let me go. It was just so much, man. So much, and being with the Road Warriors, it's just you got to give those guys credit because they really love the game. If you play for them, you got to really love the game to be there.
Yeah. Any stories from that time? I know it was only 12 games, but any stories from that time of just being stuck on the road, basically?
I played with a bunch of good guys, man, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was cut short because my grandmother got sick at the time, so I had to, cut the season a little short from it. But it's just one of those things, man, where that right there is something I'm super grateful for because it helped me mentally to be mentally strong. You cannot play on the road all the time and think it's easy. It's not, man. It's not. It's not.
Yeah. 2012 Jackals. How much did that season? That's a real good year for you. 288, 11 homers, 51 RBI. How much did that year kind of help reestablish you and kind of get you back on the map?
Yeah, big time. That year was really important because that told me I'm back. My knee started to feel better. I was close to home. I was, just everything around me just was like, it was like, I was like, damn. I felt like, man, I'm back for sure.
Yeah. Next couple years, Newark, Trois-Rivières, Rockland. Is at any point in your mind over those next 2 years, is the goal to get back to the Atlantic League? Is the goal to maybe get another chance in affiliated ball? I guess what is kind of the mindset while you're there, kind of playing out those years?
Yeah, those years was before to get back to the Atlantic League. It was get back to affiliated ball. It was just, I got to get back to affiliated ball. Maybe get a winter ball job. And I got a ring out of it with Rockland.
Yes.
So that I mean, it's to win too, you know. So that was that worked out well.
Yes. What was that experience like? I know you only played 10 regular season games there, but ended up getting in the playoffs with them and won a ring, like you said. I guess what is that like?
I mean, it was great, man, because you know, I was up in Canada to start that season, and we had a really good team. Played with for a great manager, Pete LaForest. He was actually a former Somerset Patriot.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, it's great dude, man. I love him. And you know, got traded. And the way baseball works is so funny because I got traded to Rockland because Maloney went down. Maloney, who we got when
yes.
It's so crazy. You understand what I'm saying? It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But I got traded there because he tore his labrum and they needed another hitter, and it worked out so well because that playoff series I went crazy, man.
Yes, I mean, did that play a role in kind of getting you back to the Atlantic League? Because you ended up coming back to Camden in 2015.
Yeah, I did. You know, actually, I've been very, very fortunate, man, in my career to play for a lot of great managers, man. Good people outside of baseball, just great people in general. Mm-hmm. And Chris Widger, when I went to Camden, he right away he wanted him. He's like, no, get him over here. Going to Camden was more so important because, as we all know, I went to Camden because of my daughter being born in Philly.
Right.
So, like, you know, that was the main reason to get to play in Camden. But it was also a blessing to get to the Atlantic League again, you know?
Yeah, I guess, what was that whole process like? So, you know, it's pretty well documented that your daughter had gone through a lot of really serious health issues right when she was born. What was that like, kind of, you know, getting to be close to her, play close to her, and what was that like, kind of trying to, you know, just focus on baseball at that time and try not to think about that stuff when you were on the field?
Honestly, like, looking back at it, it kind of worked out, and it made it easier for me because as soon as my game was over, I could just cross that bridge and just go right into downtown Philly. It would take me 10 minutes, and I could see my daughter at any time I wanted, you know?
Yeah.
So it was actually a blessing, but it wasn't easy because throughout the day, you're, like, thinking, like, all right, I hope she's all right. I hope she's all right, you know? I hope she's all right. Like, you know, just making sure that she's holding up. And, you know, it all worked out, though. It all worked out.
Yeah. How's Shiloh doing now?
She's great, man. You heard her. She said hello. She's something else, man. She's something else.
Yeah, that's awesome. I miss getting to watch you two run around on the field before games and after games and all that stuff, man. That was a fun memory.
She misses it. She says it all the time. She's like, I miss you playing. I was like, I know, baby, but, you know.
So,
that's done.
Yeah, so Camden goes away after the 2015 season. Bees take you, you get traded to Somerset. Is that another kind of one of those blessing in disguise kind of things to get to play kind of close-ish to home?
Yeah, man. So Camden, the funny thing is that I told Widge, our manager, I told him, I said, if Camden was coming back the next year, I was going back to Camden. Okay. Just because of him. He was just a pleasure to play for, man. He was just he's a player's manager, you know. And I was going back to Camden 100% no matter what. Then they shut down.
Yep.
Then you know, and then what happened was the New Britain Bees actually picked me up.
Yes, the dispersal draft. You got picked in that, and then you got traded for, I think it was James Skelton. I think the rights for him.
Yeah, for Skelton, but I made it, and you know, and like I said, I love the manager for New Britain was he was in Southern Maryland. What's his name?
Was it Stan Clyburn? Yeah.
Awesome guy, man. Awesome guy, but he also understood that me wanting to go to Somerset. Besides the fact that Somerset is the spot. I mean, let's be honest with you. You know, that's the best. The way they run everything, A1. Doesn't get better than that, but was the fact that I get to be closer to my daughter. You understand what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
So that was pretty much it, man. And honestly, one of the best decisions I've ever made.
2016 season in Somerset, I know kind of early on, and you and I talked about it publicly in a story. I wouldn't bring it up with you here. There was a lot of kind of off-field stuff you had going on. I guess how much did that kind of, because you got off to a really slow start in that first half. I remember that. I guess how much did you kind of chalk that up to, you know, just having a lot going on besides baseball?
I mean, a lot was going on besides baseball, but I'll be honest with you, at the end of the day, I've always, if anybody tracks my career and if you look like through the numbers slowly, I've always been a slow starter.
Yeah.
You know, always been a slow starter. You know, but like I said, being around good guys and being around, you know, great people, great managers, Brad, and everybody who was there, it just made things easier. So little by little, kind of got acquainted and got it rolling, you know?
Yeah. Had the last episode I did was with Rob Crowell, another guy at the 16 team. Talked to him about just kind of that last series, those last couple games. How that was such a fun team to be around. So how tough of a way was that to end that season?
That hurt. I'll tell you like that. In all of my career, it hurt because that year, besides college in Brookdale, built bonds with people, you know, that a championship would have sealed it, you know, like kind of like just been like, wow, like this is just a fairy tale kind of a season.
Yeah.
It hurt. It hurt a lot, especially the fact that we were up 0-2.
Yep.
2-0, excuse me. It's funny. Me and my dad, we still have that conversation about that series sometimes, you know. But it's a good life. It's a good lesson in life. I'll tell you that.
17 season happens. You make it pretty clear you want that to kind of be your last year. But how much did that 16, the way 16, and how much did that kind of motivate you and drive you to want to come back and ultimately have the year that you had and you ended up going out on? Because I mean, you were a madman in 17.
Yeah. Honestly, like it was it definitely motivated us because at the end of the day, we know, like, again, when you're with Somerset, you know for a fact that the product that they're going to put out there on the field isn't going to be just, okay, here you go play. No, they're going to try. What they're trying to do there is win a championship.
Yeah.
So I already know that whoever's coming in besides myself, it's going to be a good deal. You know, like we're going to bring something good to the table. And it was good, man. It's just so hard sometimes when you build a bond with certain players, you know, and then now we got a whole new regime of people. You know, it's a little tough, but you know, we made the playoffs again, and then we fell short again. You know.
Yeah, that is what that is. But I know a more positive memory from that year was certainly the All-Star game for you, kind of getting to play one of those pretty close to home. To get to do that in your last year, how much did that really mean to you to get to experience that?
That was special, man. That was super, super, super special. I got my stepson that they see it on YouTube all the time, and then you know that interview of my last All-Star game talking about it, like they always put it back, they always play it back, and it kind of makes you, like, you know, like warm inside a little bit, man, because that people will never understand my last year All-Star game at home and the love that the Somerset fans, the way they were with me, my daughter, you know, the way they treated us is just, it can never be, you know, I can't thank them enough, you know?
Yeah. Is there a moment from that game or those couple days that really stand out? Because, again, it's playing in front of your hometown fans, too. Is there anything that you kind of, when you think back to that really sticks with you?
I would say out of the whole All-Star, first of all, the whole day was just A1, big league stuff, man. The way Mr. Califer put that together, it was just A1. Like, it's just unbelievable. But more so than anything, what is the dinner?
Yeah.
You know, the gala after was unbelievable. The gala the day before, everything was just unbelievable. But when they called my name out in the lineup and to hear the home crowd, that it was just roaring, man. It was just different. Something that I wish everybody could experience, man, because it was special, man. Special.
2017 season, like I said, you made it real clear at the start of that year that was going to be the one that you went out on. But again, you were all defensive team that year, got your 1,000th career hit that year. I mean, that was a hell of a year for you. That might have been one of your best career years. Was there any thought, and I know you and I kind of talked about that as well after this all happened, but was there any thought to maybe wanting to kind of go back on that and kind of keep going, keep playing?
Yeah, you know, I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But I feel like if you want to be successful in anything you do in life, you got to be 2 foot in. You know, 2 feet in. It can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So, I have definitely. It's even to this day. When you love the game and you're a professional at it, every year you could be retired 10 years. You always thinking about, you know what? Maybe I go back. You know, maybe I go back. But it's just, I'm happy with my decision.
Yeah. Was there a point where you kind of decided that, you know what, I'm for sure done, this is it?
Honestly, say this, and if anybody else hears this, I hope that they will use this advice. Like, it was a point of the season where it wasn't fun anymore. You know, it was fun in the locker room. It was fun everywhere. We had so much fun. But when I got on the field, it was kind of like, again, you know?
Yeah.
That feeling of like, again. And I remember my dad told me, he was like, hey, man, you got to have fun. If you're not having fun, that's when you know. And that's when I knew. I knew right away.
Is it just kind of the years wearing on you? Was there like a specific thing or a game or a year that kind of just took a toll? I guess what do you think led to kind of feeling that way?
It was a lot of different things. It was like, you know, my own personal mind. It was like that year, my numbers don't reflect offensively. They don't reflect on the year I had, because if I say that I hit 500 baseballs on the nose and they caught 499 of them, I'm not lying.
And
like,
I look at your stats now, and I'm shocked. 'Cause I remember how well you played that year. I'm shocked you hit 249. Yeah. I would have told you 280 and been fine with it.
100%. And it's just like everything was being caught. It looked like there was 15 people on the field catching everything, diving. I was just kind of like, this is crazy, man. Like, is this a sign? Like, hey, man, this is it, you know? And then, you know, a couple things, locker room things, you know, again, and it's not personal. I still got love for everybody, but it's just like, you know what, man? You did it for a long time, and I was blessed to do it, and it was just time to, you know, move on, man.
Yeah, so you have moved on. You put together an incredible career. You're kind of still staying in baseball, but is there kind of an end game or a goal for you to maybe kind of get back in a coaching role or something more, you know, official or organized? Or I guess what is kind of the goal for you going forward in terms of baseball?
Honestly, I'm always going to be a baseball mind forever. I could be 100 years old, and if I can help out with baseball, I will. But my main goal and my main focus more than anything is my family. I'm not I gave baseball so much time so much of my life that kind of neglected that side, you know.
Yeah.
So now, as far as anything, I'm not against being a coach somewhere, but the situation has to be right, you know. Situation has to be right. Everything has to fit. Nothing that's going to be forced or anything like that, you know. But I'm totally open to it for sure.
Well, however you want things to work out, I certainly hope they work out. It's been awesome catching up with you. It was nice chatting with your daughter a little bit before we actually officially got on here, man. And you were always awesome to me. It was fun to get to spend time with you at the field, away from the field, all that stuff, man. You've always been one of my favorite guys, man. So I really appreciate you always taking time for me throughout your career and doing so now as well, man. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you, man. Like, you know, like, just so everybody understands this, like, you know, they see this guy with his camera, they see this guy with his, you know, with his pad and walking around, and they're probably looking at you crazy, but they don't know what kind of guy you are, man. You are unreal. You are a great man, bro. And I appreciate we had dinners, the sit downs in the dugout, you know, all the just one-to-ones, one-on-ones, you know, like, you're great for the organization. You're great for whoever you work for. They're very lucky to have you, boss.
I appreciate that, man. I'm looking forward to getting a chance to catch up with you and your family in person once all this craziness is over with as well, man. So thank you again so much, Kuzi. I appreciate it, man.
No doubt. Thank you.
All right, guys, that is a wrap on episode 10 of the Untitled Mike Ashmore podcast. Thank you guys so very much for checking us out one more time. Appreciate it. Thanks again to Carlos Guzman as well for taking the time to chat. Guzzi's a very busy man these days, so it was very nice for him to take some time out for us. So, coming episodes, I don't know. Reached out to a bunch of guys. We'll be taping some more this upcoming week, and we will go from there. I'm not sure what the order will be, but these aren't stopping anytime soon, guys. I really appreciate the support on these. I'm glad you guys are enjoying them. In the meantime, stay safe, stay inside, wash your damn hands. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Mike Ashmore for the Untitled Mike Ashmore podcast. See y'all soon.